What are all these small little things before me? Well, they're minis. They're systems that are small. I am Adam Ronin, and maybe I'm just huge, and these are full-size systems. You'll never know unless you finish this video where we look at the new Sega Genesis Mini, kind of review it, kind of just celebrate fucking nostalgia. So, on September 20th, a lot of things came out. iPhone 11 came out, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and then the 11 Pro came out. The Nintendo Switch Lite came out. Link's Awakening came out for the Nintendo Switch, and this little guy just kind of snuck his way into the release as well, and the Sega Genesis Mini came out. Actually, I think this came out like a couple days before, but I found it on Friday the 20th, so to me it came out that day. Now, what's there to say about these that there hasn't been said before? Not a whole lot, but I just love these little minis. I think they're so cool. Albeit a little bit of a waste of money, and we'll talk about that. But boy, nostalgia sure has a way of sucking dollars out of my wallet. So this came out looking like a Sega Genesis looked like, just like the Nintendos look like, miniature versions of themselves. This was a trendsetter. The NES Mini Classic came out and everyone shit bricks over it and just had to suck the dick of Nintendo to get this product. To the point where it like came out, people were beating the shit out of little kids, probably shanking each other and shit to get this. It was a fucking hysterical moment in history to find one of these. And then they came out with more of them and everyone was like, oh, I could have just waited, which is what I did. This came out, incredible, awesome piece of machinery. The Sony PlayStation 1 came out. Everyone hated it because it was so just goddamn overpriced and the game selection kind of sucks on it. Another one that came out you might not even know about is the C64 Mini. Came out sometime last year and also sucks because who wants to play Commodore 64 games? But it's fucking cool, you know what I'm saying? And this came out. Now when I was a kid, I was a multi-console household. I had Nintendos, I had the Super Nintendo, and right next to the Super Nintendo was my Sega Genesis. So I have love for both consoles, a lot of history here. I mean, for Christ's sakes, I remember putting in the ABACABB, fucking Abacab, for the Mortal Kombat Blood Code. That was on the Genesis. That changed everything for home violence in video games, mostly. So when I heard this was coming out, didn't pay much mind to it, but then I was like, oh shit, that's out now? I'm gonna pick that up. There's a lot of games on here. There's 40 games, a couple bonuses and stuff. We're talking stuff from all the way like Echo the Dolphin, the Streets of Rage, which is an amazing classic. Arguably probably one of the best beat-em-ups of all time. There is Eternal Champions, which is just a terrible game, but I love old shitty 90s fighting games. I loved Eternal Champions. Like it was going out of style back in 1993. Played that shit like it was fucking crazy. Good game. Terrible game. Good game. Mega Man. There's a Mega Man collection on the Sega Genesis that came out back in the day that I had no idea about. A collection of Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 that has inferior music, but it's Mega Man. It's cool. I didn't know that came out on the Genesis. This showed me things I never knew were out before. It's just a cool little collection. Now, right now, currently, as this has just launched, is $79.99. $80 for a mini that's gonna chill on your couch. Now, or on your shelf. That's kind of what these launched at. I think these were like 75 bucks, 80 bucks, the Nintendos. I can't remember how much we paid for the Mini when we bought that. This piece of shit was $100. Everyone hated it. It's like 20 bucks now. So this isn't like a must-have thing, because let me tell you what, you're gonna get the Mini, you're gonna plug it in, you're gonna play through the 40 games, you're gonna be like, that's cool. It reminds me of when I was a kid. Or maybe you are a kid and you're gonna be like, games sucked back then. Who knows? And you're likely never going to touch it again. As is with the Nintendos, because Nintendo themselves has made these a useless brick of a product, because Nintendo Switch Online, I've got the virtual consoles right on my Switch. I don't need these. Never in my life have I thought I really want to just have a night of playing Commodore 64 games. But boy, the real selling point of these is, hot damn, do they look cool on your shelf? Just imagine just a lineup of minis. Just, you got your Nintendos, you got your Sega, you got your Commodore 64, you got your expensive tiny little PlayStation. They're cool buys for your office, your shelf, your elaborate YouTube set for YouTube videos you barely make. It's a cool buy for that kind of stuff. It's expensive, so I probably recommend waiting till this goes down to like 20 bucks, because while these, the Nintendo ones sell like gangbusters, Genesis does what Nintendo don't, and that is sits on the shelf. So these, you probably within like a month or two, this is probably gonna drop down to 50 bucks, and then probably when Christmas rolls around, you'll see these on sale for like 40 bucks probably. It's cool though, very cool. The games are exact ports. It comes with this controller, 2 of these, with acceptable length cables, which the Nintendo's never had, fucking bastards. Really cool. They're the 3-button controllers. There's a lot of games on here that benefit heavily from the 6-button controller. So like, for example, if you're playing like Street Fighter 2 or Eternal Champions, where it's a 6-button fighting game layout, you have to press the start button to toggle between punches and kicks, which is very strange. But for some reason was like pretty normal back in the day, because I never had a 6-button controller, so this is where it's at. I've heard rumors they're going to come out with a 6-button controller that you could plug in and out of this, so I don't know, whatever. It's cool. It's got 2 of these, the cables are good, they're long, they feel just as shitty as Genesis controllers did back in the day. The sound design is just as awful as it always had been on the Sega Genesis. Man, what a loser of a console this was back in the day. But it's great, I love it, it's fantastic. Eternal Champions, fucking, we got all kinds of, Road Rash 2, that was not a great game. Road Rash wasn't awesome until the PlayStation. There was that Castlevania game that's on here, as well as the Konami collection, if you don't feel like picking up a whole separate unit to play it. But the hyper-violent Castlevania game that I never knew existed back when I was a kid. Amazing thing. Shinobi 3. There's a lot of good games on here. Echo the Dolphin, if you want to get in touch with your softer side, that's the game right there. Dolphins always remind me of like buttholes and vaginas. I don't know why. Fucking love dolphins. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to celebrate the love of expensive minis that just have no purpose in your life other than to sit on the shelf and be fucking cool looking. Because that's what all these do. But buy them on sale, because you don't want to pay full price for these. I do, because I'm a ridiculous person with no self-control. You, if you don't have self-control, can press subscribe and the little bell for the occasional moment that we upload a video when the passion strikes, like this week. Now you're Madam Ronin. Gordy. What is, wait, is that a fucking...
Wait, how do you do dolphin?
Well, it's certainly not a goat.
I can't do it.
Boss Bottle Gordy has no idea what dolphins sound like. He's thinking of... No. I can't do it either. What does a dolphin sound like? No, it's a fucking goat. Goats have buttholes too.